Welcome back to Southern Character, where we share stories of grit and grace from inspirational individuals who leave lasting impressions on those they encounter. I'm your host, James Lewis, and today I'm on Atlanta's west side at Bar Blanc, perched atop Little Sparrow with one of Atlanta's most accomplished chefs, Ford Fry. Ford. Chef Fry. Just call you Chef.
Call me Ford.
Ford. Welcome to Southern Character.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. No, I really appreciate you letting this happen. So I was going through the website, both websites, all of your statistics, and it's a little, dizzying, to say the least. So just to frame it for the listeners in the event that someone hasn't heard of you, right? You have over 20 restaurants in 7 cities in 5 states. So Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, and of course, Texas. Your venues span from fine dining to casual, French cuisine, Italian to Tex-Mex, including a Tex-Mex cookbook, which we can talk about. A very heavy emphasis on wood-fired grill cooking, which I'm a huge fan of. You've won several awards. You were named the semifinalist 5 times for the James Beard Outstanding Restaurateur Award. You won the Grace Award for Restaurateur of the Year in 2013, and Grace is Georgia Restaurant Association Crystal of Excellence. And then Esquire, Best New Restaurant for the Optimist, and King and Duke, the Optimist in 2012, and the King and Duke in 2013. All that being said, how do you keep all those plates spinning? It seems like a lot.
Yeah, my thing is I am only as strong as our people. And I learned early on that empowerment and hopefully inspiring people was kind of the two key things. Otherwise, it would be tough. It would be really. I mean, it already is tough, but that makes it a lot easier. Just surrounding myself with super talented people who are better in every area than I am. So.
Yeah, this isn't a trick question. I'm not trying to cut you on the spot, but I'm just approximately how many people work for your organization?
Oh gosh, I think we're a little over 2,000 now. Yep. 2,200, 2,400, something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you seem like a very humble person, but when you hear all those highlights that I just rattled off, the number of restaurants, the number of cities, the awards, is there anything that stands out to you either on that list or somewhere else that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I'd say the Optimist got Bon Appetit Hot 10 Award. So the Optimist was our 3rd restaurant, and I would say that one clearly put us on the national map, as far as being someone to recognize as someone who's doing something, I guess, in the industry. And that award, because that award is, there's no politics, there's no nothing. And typically Andrew Knowlton gave us that spot, and he's admittedly not a fan of big restaurants. He loves small restaurants. So most of the awards are always given to like small restaurants. And this was one that and that's I think that's really big, because big restaurants are so much harder to control as smaller restaurants. You can fine tune things a little bit easier. It's a big ship. It's hard to turn. Mm-hmm. So that one that's been huge for me. I don't think we've ever reached that. Well, recently, I mean, maybe Little Sparrow and Bar Blanc just got another Michelin recognition, so that was cool.
Yep.
So maybe we're coming around the corner. Who knows? Maybe we're not over the hill.
I think the odds are in your favor, right? So I definitely want to get into the restaurants and the timeline. But one of the things we do on Southern Character is we like to get back to our Southern roots. So I want to go back to your childhood and touch on that for a minute. So the only reason why I'm saying this is because I never get to say it. You were actually born in the Summer of Love.
All right.
June 1969.
That's right.
Okay. So you grew up in Houston, Texas? So what did your parents do?
So my dad he was originally early on was a CPA, and then worked into also doing real estate ventures with my grandfather. So just bought and sold properties, I guess.
In and around Houston?
Yeah, all around Houston, outside Houston, suburbs that have been like grown into and stuff like that.
Okay. So commercial real estate?
Yeah, pretty much. My grandfather was a doctor, so my dad was just kind of helping him invest his money is kind of probably what was going on. I was a little young.
That's interesting. So my mom's side of the family actually lived in Houston for a long time, and I guess my mom's side. I don't know if you're familiar with the Fertittas at all.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
Randy Fertitta is basically like my second or third cousin.
Oh wow.
removed.
Wow.
So the whole Sicilian side, but my mom lived in Beaumont for a while. But anyway, so you grew up in Houston. Dad was in commercial real estate. I saw that you had two sisters. So are you the middle, the oldest, the youngest?
I'm the middle. We are all. My sister was born June 11th. I was born June 17th the next year, and my younger sister was born August 4th.
Okay.
I almost forgot that. The next year. So we were bing, bang, boom, and done.
So do your sisters still live in Houston, or has everybody spread from Houston?
One is in Houston, and one moved to Venice Beach, Sarasota area, Florida.
Well, also in your book, you talk about, and on your website, you talk about cooking with your grandparents as one of your inspirations. You also talk a lot about traveling and dining in restaurants. So when you think of your culinary childhood, whether it's locally in Texas or even abroad international, like what are some of those food memories that really stand out for you?
Well, it's interesting because the food memories that, and I'm sure my mom's not going to listen to this, so we're okay, we're safe here. But
You never know.
My parents were children of the 50s, so I grew up eating the recipes that you get, Campbell's cream of mushroom soup with this plus that. That was kind of the food that we cooked. My grandmother was a little bit more, I would say, Texas Southern, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So that's where I kind of experienced some of that food. But for the most part, going out to eat, because they were my grandfather is very educationally driven. Everything was always about learning and getting better. And so he would take us on trips, and he would pay us. I remember this, you know what I mean? And I'm really not that privileged, but he would pay us $100 a day on a trip to Europe if we wrote a journal that day of what we saw, what we learned, what we experienced. I mean, and my handwriting was really big too, so it didn't take much. But it was all about, like, I remember going to Tour d'Argent in Paris and eating the duck a la presse, and getting a little tag. I remember all the fancy restaurants in Houston. I even remember like Steak and Ale when that was like the fancy spot.
That was
out,
a thing,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
But then I remember, all the casual stuff too that we went to that were really good. So I have a huge food memory that right now I'm kind of cooking off of that memory. It's really interesting. Not actually opening up cans of Campbell's soup or anything like that, but I'm cooking off of flavors and things that I just really enjoyed as a kid.
That's great. Do you still have the journal? I'm just curious though.
I don't think so. My mom may have it.
Your
I
mom
don't
may
know.
have.
Yeah.
Now, is your mom in Houston?
She's in Houston, yeah.
So family seems to be maybe, I would just call it a foundation, maybe for your vision. On your website, you have a quote, you want to draw generations of family together. So is that a fair statement? Is that kind of what lights you up?
Yeah, I recognized early on when I saw some restaurants, and there was a lot of talk, oh yeah, that restaurant, they don't like kids. They don't have kid seats or anything. And I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? You wanna start brainwashing those kids early to come into your restaurant.
Yeah.
And whenever I see a picture of like a little kid or a little baby eating like refried beans at Superica and stuffing them in their mouth or whatever, I'm like, all right, here we go. Another one. I got another one, So it's, and there's something about that because I really appreciate my childhood memories and where I want to go eat. And I still go back to those places. So I don't know. I just kind of want the same.
I've got something for you. You may want to try this. I remember, so my oldest son, he's 14. His name is Jet, and he loves queso. I mean, he just loves queso. Now, I haven't taken him to Superica yet, but growing up, I lived in Brookwood Hills for a while, and we'd always hit up the El Azteca on Peachtree. So his first restaurant that he went to was El Azteca, and we would dip, when he would cry, we would dip his queso. I mean, his pacifier in the queso.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm just, for Superica, you might want to try something like queso passy.
That'd be awesome.
That's for you.
Instagram post, you know?
That's for you. Yeah. So speaking of family, you're married.
Yep.
Stacy.
Yep.
How long have you guys been married?
30 years.
30
Just hit 30.
Wow, 30 years.
Uh-huh.
You said Tuesday was 30 years?
No, we just, the 17th, September 17th was our 30th.
Sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah.
And you have two sons, Austin and Anders, and they're in their mid to late 20s now.
Correct.
So are they still in Georgia, or have they fled the coop?
fled the coop.
Where are they?
One in Dallas. The younger was in Dallas, moving to Houston pretty soon for commercial real estate, and the older one lives in Colorado Springs and works for Focus on the Family.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of commercial real estate.
A little bit,
in
yeah.
the fry blood.
Yeah, he was funny because Anders, like, we used to drive by, like, it was a funny story because we saw this Chinese restaurant in the back corner of a strip center. He's like, yeah, that's a bad location. You know, he was really young. And it went out of business. And then we noticed, I said, hey, notice what restaurant took its place? A vegetarian Chinese restaurant. He's like, that was not very smart, was it? You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, they didn't last long either. So I guess we grew up talking about that kind of stuff. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool that you guys have that bond.
Yeah, he also, you know, he played tennis for Auburn, and that's probably what got him in Auburn. He was probably, you know, but so commercial real estate is kind of like for, you know, you get the real scholarly kids, and they're working for those big firms and all that, and then you get the second tier, and they're working commercial real estate.
Yeah.
So.
So where did your kids go to school, and did they go to like Roswell High School? I think you guys live in Roswell.
Yeah, they went to Fellowship for a while,
Okay. Yep.
And then because Anders was playing tennis competitively, went to a school called Legacy. So both of them went to a school called Legacy, which was a hybrid. It's called something different now. I forgot the name of it, but it was a hybrid where he was able to get out at noon and go play tennis.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so for like athletic kids, actors.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, no, I get that. So we're going to move forward a little bit in the Ford timeline. So you don't go to school in Texas, surprisingly. You chose the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville.
I don't know that I chose it. It's just where I could get in is what got me there, quite honestly.
Okay, so I was just wondering, like,
I did choose
was
it.
the draw?
I chose it was either that was the draw. I could get in, and anyone who grew up in Texas will know if you can't get in, you know, Texas A&M or University of Texas or TCU, which I didn't get in any of those, you go to Arkansas or Oklahoma.
Okay.
So those are the two fun schools, maybe Ole Miss too, but Arkansas and Oklahoma were kind of the fun ones at the time. Sorry, I'm not offending anybody.
No. I mean, you're not offending me. I mean, when I was growing up in high school, you know, it's just interesting. I would assume, you know, school, if you're in Texas, schools like A&M and UT would just kind of like be your backup. Right. Like I grew up in New Orleans. Like LSU is just like, if you can't get anywhere else,
you go there.
You can always get into LSU. Like they'll take anybody. And I don't. Now it's completely different, right? And things have changed. But you weren't there for too long. Not trying to pry, but
no. You know, I mean, the interesting thing is, and what I've learned. Let's fast forward real forward.
Yeah.
Is in Europe the way they work, from what I'm told, is. After high school, the government kind of weeds out the college students and the trade school.
Okay.
And that's what they do. In America, it's, I don't care if my kid is going to college, no matter what, you know. So that was what we did. We went to college. We joined a fraternity. We didn't go to class. And so when we should have probably gone to a trade school and even now today, it's like people are, which is, they're probably recognizing it. It's like, it is okay. Hey, let's don't go to college. Let's just start going and taking classes in what I'm interested in. So that's what I ended up learning was, when you think about it, I remember a guy told me one time when I told him I went to culinary school, and he said, so what you're saying is you went to Votech. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And that just like really offended me at one point. But the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Yeah. I mean, maybe culinary, you know, chefs were kind of popular at the time. You know, we're kind of coming up soon. You know, I was in the early stage of that, I would say. But I mean, so I guess it's okay. But I don't know. Maybe Votech. I mean, I think it's fine. But that's reality is what it was. But I mean, I really went from being a 1.9 GPA to being maybe top in my class in culinary school because I was interested in it.
Right. It clicked. Yeah. And no, look, I'm not trying to just affirm what you're saying, but I totally get what you're saying because I was the same way. I mean, I had a horrendous first year of college, and it didn't really resonate to me until, I mean, I would actually say grad school, when I picked something I wanted to do. And I tell my son, well, we have 6 children between the two of us. I tell them all the time, like, hey, just you don't have to go to college right out. Like, don't waste your time. Don't waste my time. Don't waste people's money. Right. Figure out what you want to do first. And then go get good at it. So you go to culinary school. So this is in the early 90s? Timeline, this like where are we in the forward timeline?
Yeah, super early 90s. I think I went to culinary school in 91 maybe.
And so was that like a 1-year program, 2-year program?
Two-year program.
Okay.
Yep.
And so when you come out of that, are you immediately shoved into like the fine dining Ritz-Carlton experience? Like how do you end up at the Ritz?
Pretty much, yeah. I took my school was New England Culinary Institute, and we ran an inn in Vermont, which was, it was hard. It was, we actually ran the restaurants, we ran the bakeries, we worked the line, we washed the dishes, we cleaned the kitchen. It was at first when I was going through it, I'm like, I'm paying all this money to wash their dishes and clean their kitchens. But reality, I mean, it's kind of the Karate Kid story. I mean, it's kind of like that's what chefs need, that you need to know reality. And I remember that's what the executive chef of the school at the very first opening banquet night, before we even started school, he's this French guy. He says, you guys are wondering what you're going to be when you get out of culinary school. And we're like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be a chef when I get out of culinary school. He's like, well, you're not going to be a chef. You're going to be a cook. And you're going to probably make about $7 an hour, maybe $8 if you're lucky. Wow. And you're going to do that for about 5 years. And then maybe you'll go into a sous chef role, and then you'll make maybe $20,000. And he was just painting this doom and gloom picture. I'm like, what was I thinking? But it was kind of the truth, It didn't take me that long. I was kind of a fast flyer, but attitude-wise, I thought it was pretty good. But I probably did move up faster than I should have. But that's what it was. So It was really interesting.
So California,
Yep.
Naples,
Yep.
Colorado, Aspen.
Yep.
So is this where you meet Stacy? How do you and Stacy meet? What's that story? How
I met her. Really, my first job out of culinary school was at the Ritz-Carlton in Houston. And she was in human resources, and so that's where we met. She pretty much walked all the applicants by my station in the kitchen going into the restaurant to interview them. So I was kind of the personal person, so a lot of times she would stop and say hi, but mainly to see how that applicant interacted with me, because that was part of her interview process.
Yep.
So next thing you know, we were just friends for a while, and I was pretty slow and pretty shy, so and that was that. And then she said she wanted to move to Aspen. I said, okay, she's not going to get that job. I mean, everyone wants that job. And she got the job, so I'm like, oh, shoot, now I got to transfer. So she got, and then I moved out there as well a couple months later.
Okay.
That was that.
So then what was the transition to Atlanta? How did you end up in Atlanta? I saw something about working for a food prep company, or you leave the Ritz-Carlton to go where? Yeah,
so I was at the Ritz-Carlton. The owners of the hotel, were something was happening between them and the Ritz-Carlton management company. So there were a few hotels. I think there were 4 of them that they owned. Ritz-Carlton actually pulled out of those hotels. So at that point in time, we were stuck there, either running that hotel under the St. Regis logo, and then once people knew about that, headhunters were calling left and right. So I got recruited to this home meal replacement concept, called Eatsies, which was major volume, major poundages of food, so much labor, 250 employees, was a huge, big business that was culture shock for me, cooking wise, because it's basically serving glorified leftovers.
Okay.
Is really what it is, because it's like at Whole Foods, but better, those little bars where you see like the chicken breast that's fully cooked, and I'm just like, what am I doing? But it was about 9 years. I opened the Atlanta store and then worked my way into more of a corporate R&D chef, because I was that rogue chef who was making my own recipes, which I wasn't supposed to be doing that. So everyone noticed that, all right, Ford likes to cook. So they put me as corporate R&D. So that's all I did, was play around with food.
So was this the Eatsy store in Peachtree Battle?
This was the Eatsy store in Buckhead.
Okay.
And then I left right about the time they were opening a second one, which was then it just tanked from, I'm not saying it's because I left, but it went from, I think, 17 million a year in sales to 9 million a year in sales.
Seems very auspicious that it went down.
There were a lot of things, but I don't think it was just me. But it just was. I noticed it was the way they were trying to take it wasn't really what I think I should move on. I already had a lease signed anyway, so I was already going.
So it's not like you jump out of Eatsies and directly into JCT Kitchen, right? So this is you're laying the groundwork, right, for a while. So you opened JCT in 2007. But what was the catalyst for that? Were you just like, man, I'm done with this. This isn't. Just talk about that.
Yeah, so I had a lot of conversations with my sister's husband, who were about the same age, and my grandfather, and I kept saying things like, yeah, I want to go out on my own. And, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather had his own practice, and I said, I want a partner. And so there's a long process of them both convincing me that you don't want a partner because, yes, you may need a financial partner, but you don't. Trust me, you don't want a partner in the business because you can hire this. I said, well, I need someone for front of the house. They said, well, can you hire that? I'm like, yeah. Okay, well then hire that. So they really just gave me a lot of advice about that. So my brother-in-law had invested in a Mexican restaurant in Houston and has done well. So he's like, well, let's just find a location and I know you've got all kinds of ideas. Let's just put a restaurant in. And so, back then it was, I don't know, maybe like a $2 million investment. So he put together a few investors and himself, and he took the majority of it. And then I put a little bit in, and then that was that. So JCT was the first one, and it was born. And then that was in 2007, right before the 2008
financial crisis.
Right. But we kept going forward. We were just 20% year over year, just sales growth, no matter what.
That's incredible. It's like 2008.
Yeah.
You launch it literally right before 2008, but your sales just keep going up. So your sales are going up. So if I just go down the timeline here, I thank you to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution because they actually have this timeline. It's really fascinating. So 2007 is JCT. And then 2011, you open number 246, which is your Italian concept in Decatur. 2012, you come out with the Optimist, which I love. I didn't even think about, like oysters and putt-putt.
Yeah.
And I want to come back to you seem to have a great affinity for saltwater. But so keep going down the timeline. 2013, King and Duke. Love that. Really sad to see that one go. 2014, St. Cecilia, again, just home run. And then 2015, you really explode, right, with Marcel, and then what I would call the Tex-Mex eruption, right? You have El Felix and Superica, and those, I guess, did El Felix kind of fold into Superica?
Pretty much.
Okay. You go back to Houston and open up State of Grace. Beetle Cat opens up in Inman Park. That's all 15. And then from 2016, I just had to lump these together in 2019. Basically, Superica expands to multiple locations. You come out with your cookbook. And 19, that's Tex-Mex, traditions, innovations, and comfort foods from both sides of the border. La Lucha in Houston, then Little Ray, which is a lighter version of Superica, and then you bang it out in Nashville with the Optimist, La Loop, and Star River.
Yep.
Jesus, dude. So in your cookbook, in the acknowledgments, you mention Jim Goody, who passed.
Jim Good? Yeah.
Oh, Jim Good. I'm sorry.
Jim Good was. I wouldn't even call him a chef. I would call him a really good cook. He was an outdoorsman type of guy. He had what are those cowboy hat? He wore this cowboy hat and had this major long beard. But he opened up a barbecue restaurant in Houston, Good Company Barbecue.
Okay.
And then he did Good Company Seafood, and he did Good Company Taqueria. And it was just really good tasting food, not fine dining, not anything, just was solid. I look at Houston as at that time just had a bunch of really good casual food, and it was really good casual food. So from the casual perspective, and I definitely look a lot to, I never knew him. I know his son, but I never really knew him. But I knew him through his food and just grew up eating there. Mexican breakfast was just, it's just my favorite. So he's just a great cook. And this guy cooks over wood. He is the king of wood. Any restaurant you go to of his, there's just a long stack of wood. So,
like post oak, like what kind?
Mesquite. He was a big mesquite guy. So it just, to me, that was just real. When I walked into the kitchen that was previous of JCT, it had a gas grill. I'm like, okay, that's the first thing to go, but that's normal. But most kitchens have gas grills and they don't want to mess with it. I'm like, no, you gotta struggle a little bit to make it taste better.
Do all your kitchens have burn wood? Basically?
I think all of them have some element of wood.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And look, I hadn't even gotten to 2023 yet. So in 2023, you basically transition, right, JCT, from JCT to Little Sparrow with Bar Blanc above it, where we're sitting right now, and King and Duke, you basically elected to not renew the lease. So I'm just curious. So those are two completely different decisions, right? Mm-hmm. You already have this incredible space, JCT kitchen, which probably cost you 10 times more than it did back in 2007 to do it. So just walk me through like kind of the thought process of I'm going to reinvent JCT kitchen and I'm not going to renew King and Duke. Like,
yeah, I'll start with King and Duke. King and Duke, we hit our 10-year lease renewal time, and King and Duke over the time, it was a difficult operation to run, with all the wood cooking. Buckhead, that corner of Buckhead is a finicky market. I think people kind of hit you really hard for the first 2 years, and then it just kind of fizzles a little bit. I'd say King and Duke was a product of one, the location where it was, but then also a product of us not really managing it that well. I thought that was something that we really didn't. We should have done better at that. It was also very difficult. I think King and Duke first opened, and people just didn't understand what it was. They didn't understand. People think of restaurants, oh, is it Italian? Is it American? Is it French? What is it? And I'm like, no, it's just wood cooking. And they're like, I don't get that. So I'm like, okay, I get it, but they don't get it. So they just didn't get it, and a lot of it was us placating. Like Buckhead was like, oh, it's too heavy. I'm like, okay, I get it. Well, let's lighten it up. And then, I don't know, it just never... It was fine. We made a little money. We never lost any money.
Okay.
That was all fine. It was just like, I just don't see much future in this one. So let's just cut this one loose. And this was also in a time when staffing was a really problem. Mm-hmm. So it was very exciting to say, let's close this and disperse all of that staff to other restaurants.
Right.
JCT, on the other hand, was a restaurant that was still performing, mm-hmm. but my gut was saying that it was not going in the right. It was plateaued in my mind. Okay. When we first opened, I thought it would be fun to have fried chicken on the menu in the entrees, along with other more expensive stuff, And we sold about 9 or 10% of the entrees we sold were fried chicken. Come year 15, well, probably even before that, probably about year 13, we're selling about 90% fried chicken. Mm. And I'm like, that's fine, but I didn't set out to be a fried chicken restaurant.
Right.
So I asked one of the cooks. It was a Latino cook. He's like, it's funny because great cook. He's like, I said, hey, what would happen if we took fried chicken off the menu? And he just laughed. He said, no more JCT. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So at that point, I'm like, there you go. Yeah. That's what we're gonna do. So then it was like, all right. And JCT cost us like, I don't know, $2 million to get going upstairs and downstairs. Little Sparrow and Bar Blanc as a refresh was about $6 million or something like that. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
So
I don't know if I saw it or read it or heard it, but you were talking on when you opened JCT, uh-huh. I found this fascinating. You said one night the guy from Capital Grill came in. And you were talking to him, and you said, well, hey, I'm doing about $1 million a year in revenue, maybe, and I'm thinking about, maybe, tell that story, because that really shocked me.
Well, I was excited because we were doing about, actually, like $2.5 million our first year. And if you see all the different restaurants we have, you can tell that I probably have ADD or something, because I want to do more stuff. I always wanted to do more stuff. Yeah. Well, we were over 6,000 square feet in space, and this guy who was one of the guys who started, really smart guy. He's a friend of ours now, and we just met with him on some other stuff. And I was talking to him at the bar. I'm like, yeah, we did 2.5 million. I was all excited, and he looked at me and he's like, I said, but I'm ready to do more, And he said, can I give you some advice? I said, sure. I may not take it, but sure, So he said, I would say wait till you get to 5 million. Get this thing. He didn't say wait. He said, get this thing to 5 million, then start thinking about doing something else. And I'm like thinking to myself, no, I don't want to do that. But because of 2008 and all this other stuff, my brother-in-law was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But so JCT got up to about 6 million in like year 4.
Wow.
So inevitably, I took his advice, not by choice, but by real action. But he was totally right, because I mean, we were probably profiting maybe 5%, at 2.5, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And jumped up to maybe 22% or something like that
Yeah.
at 6. So he was right, and you know what else helped? It just gave me more time. It gave me more time listening to our guests and listening to what they wanted and running the restaurant and managing people, and so just a little bit more time under the belt was good. Then it was like, then my brother-in-law he was getting paid back and he was making money, and he's like, all right, let's go.
This isn't a question I was planning on asking, but at this point, do you still work with investors, or do you self-fund everything now? I'm just curious.
A lot of it is very, very limited self-funding. It really depends. Well, it's all self-funding basically,
Okay.
but I mean, we're not asking for any more capital
Right.
at all. We've got a little bit of bank money, but not much at all.
Okay.
For the most part, all the money that we are making goes into development. Now, sometimes if we're doing, say, 5 restaurants in a year or something like that, well, sometimes that's a little bit much for our current cash flow. So maybe we've asked for a little bit here and there, but
So Rocket Farm Restaurants, right, is the name of your group. On your website, I want to talk a little bit about your code of ethics. So
Yeah.
I love a good code of ethics, and yours is very powerful. So I was reading through them, and I think there are 8 or 9 total statements, but the 4 that really stood out to me, I don't know, they landed on me. I'm just going to read these 4. We serve the person who is serving the guest. Next one, we send negativity to work somewhere else. Love that. We praise as aggressively as we discipline. And this one might be my favorite. We talk to each other, not about each other. So those were the 4 that just kind of like ripped through me. Out of these 4, which one do you feel resonates the most with you, and why?
first of all, let me give you the background of
Yeah.
where those came from. When I was working in Colorado, before I got recruited to come to Atlanta, I worked for a guy, Toby Franklin, was a food and beverage director, and he also recruited me out to Ojai, California, to work out at the Ojai Valley Inn. And he was my favorite boss, hands down. This guy was great. You know what I mean? He wasn't real chummy. He held everybody accountable. If you were like a minute late to his meeting, he would not let you in. So he was passionate about service and service training. So long story short, I found him right about the time we opened 246, and I knew I needed a COO, and he had a Roswell address. I'm like, what do you have? What is this guy? It's been years. So we reconnected, and I hired him as our COO and partner.
Okay.
So he wrote all those. He wrote them, and then he went them by me, and it's like we all agree. But for the most part, I think the one. So I want to give him the credit for it. Sure.
Absolutely.
But for the most part, praise is. I think there's always needs to be the balance of praise and discipline. When you discipline, when you bring someone down, you've always got to bring them back up.
Right.
You either got to bring them back up, or whatever reason you got to ship them out. Either way, ideally you want to bring them back up. So there's a balance there. And the restaurant industry is tough, and that's a tough one to manage too, because the restaurant people it's hard to say when someone does a good job. Did you do a good job, or did you just do your job? There's a fine line between doing a good job and doing your job, and because it's a tough industry. But
yeah, it's really hard.
I think people don't. Another guy told me this one time. He said, people don't leave restaurants. Like staff don't leave restaurants. They leave people. And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, that's true. In any industry.
Probably.
It's tough. I mean, so, growing up, I'll say I don't think everybody worked in food service. I definitely worked in food service. My wife worked in food service. And when we were number 246 the other night, we were watching. I mean, like, I was watching the kitchen, and I was watching the conductor, and like, he's calling food runners, and my wife, like, we're just kind of watching the dance, and she turns to me at one point. She's like, God, it's just, I forgot how hard it was.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
Yeah,
to do that. So you've been in the restaurant industry. I promise we're gonna lighten it up in a couple of seconds. But so you've been in the restaurant industry for over 30 years.
Yeah,
fair. If you could go back in time to what I would call early 20s Ford, like like early 2000s Ford, like before you launched JCT Kitchen, would you give young Ford any advice? And if so, what would that be? Looking with the benefit of hindsight.
If I love the industry I'm in, I think I would have been a little bit more directed. I wouldn't have stayed so long in that corporate chef job. I would say I probably would have worked at restaurants. I mean, the hotel was fine, and they were high-end hotels, but I feel like restaurants were better food. I probably would have gone that direction. I kind of had to teach myself a lot through. I never had a really great chef mentor who was really teaching, technique and things like that. So that was all about travel and tasting food and figuring things out on my own. And so I probably would have done maybe even like New York or something for a little bit, or it could have been LA or San Francisco or something, one of those cities, just to get a little bit of that more under my belt. But who knows? I mean, it worked out fine the way it is. It's been a long, hard career, but it's great now.
I loved your use of like, hey, I might have entrepreneurial ADD. And so you just relaunched Little Sparrow and Bar Blanc from JCT. Are you already thinking about like another project, or are you kind of cooling your jets a little bit? I think I heard you say something, you hinted at it. So is there something on your radar that you can talk about, or if you can't?
No, nothing like a new concept. We are looking at expanding Little Sparrow. I'm sorry, expanding Little Ray. We have 2 Little Rays opening. We have one in Nashville and one in Raleigh. So we have 3 Little Rays right now, so soon we'll have 5. So that's just another challenge on its own. Also looking at Superica as kind of a 2.0, trying to refresh that one without really shaking the apple tree too hard.
Right. Because that one's definitely working.
Okay.
I'm just saying, for me it is.
Okay, good. Because some people it is absolutely not. So I'm just like, So the industry, coming out of COVID, coming out of racial tension, unrest, coming out of, just the negative talk about restaurant business in general and restaurant industry in general, as far as staffing and being that kind of a bad career. There's just so much rebuilding. The labor, everything costs more.
Yeah.
So restaurants just don't profit what they used to. It's harder to run them. It's harder to find people who want this job as a career. Yeah. So it's difficult. So just trying to go slow when it comes to some of the creative stuff. I think at one point we may have gone a little fast.
So I'm going to go Jon Favreau on you.
Yes, okay. Yes.
I was watching on Netflix. So Netflix has a series called Chef Show.
Yeah.
With Jon Favreau and Roy Troy of the Kogi Food Truck. And they did an episode, I would say mainly, the most of the episode was Avengers Atlanta, and it was at the Optimist, right? Which was just fun to watch. And I was just curious watching that episode. You have all these restaurants. What has been your biggest fanboy moment where like somebody walks into your restaurant, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that person's here. Like, I'm just curious. Is there anyone?
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. was pretty big.
Yeah.
But really, honestly, the biggest one was oh my gosh, the singer of Led Zeppelin.
Robert Plant?
Robert Plant. Okay, so I got a text message from Nashville saying Robert Plant is eating at Superica. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? The lead singer of Led Zeppelin, one of the greatest bands of all time, is eating something that is in a restaurant that I created. I'm just like blown away. That was pretty it, and I wasn't even there.
Okay. Do you know what Robert Plant ordered? Did you ask? Like, what's he?
I think he got like carne guisada.
Okay. And
that was on the menu. So like kind of like a Mexican beef stew served with tortillas and stuff like that.
Interesting.
I think that's what he ordered.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And we're going to talk about music in a second.
All right.
But before we go there, let's talk a little bit about the cookbook, because I love to cook. So I think I told you I bought your cookbook on Friday because my wife loves Tex-Mex and we love cooking together. So we did a little version of James and Ford, version of Julia and Julia. So here's what we did. We did the refried beans, we did the guac, we did the chicken al carbone, which we did the whole 24-hour marinade, and we did the El Jefe, because you have to have margs with it all. So I had a couple questions for you,
All right.
burning through the cookbook. So for the refried beans, so I'm from New Orleans. I love making red beans and rice. I was surprised you didn't say to soak your beans. So you just simmer them for 3 hours. Do you ever soak your beans?
I normally do.
You normally do. Okay.
But in refried, you're pretty much cooking them to blend them anyway.
Okay.
So,
All right. Easy one.
Yeah.
Guac, right?
Yep.
The guacamole. Any tips for chopping jalapenos?
buy the latex gloves.
Okay. Do you keep gloves in your house?
Oh, I got a funny. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Tell me your funny
Do you
gloves
want the
story.
funny story on that?
Please.
Okay. Well, this is before gloves. This was when I was at the Ritz in Aspen. It's my very first internship job, and I'm in this kitchen, and we had an old French chef, and he looked like Inspector Clouseau from the old, but in his English was kind of not that great, and I was chopping all these jalapenos, like a ton of them, and I went to the bathroom, okay, and he goes, I walked back from the bathroom, and he's like, he mumbled something, and then the other sous chef had to translate what he says. He says, "Make sure you wash your hands." And I looked at him. I'm like, "Too late," and they just started laughing. But yeah, so I learned the hard way.
Yeah, that's rough, man. Okay.
Yeah, but that's the key. I mean, it'll burn you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we need to get a box of gloves. I had Ziploc bags over my hands.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
just
That's
clumsy.
hard.
It was clumsy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to chop something off. All right. So the chicken al carbone. Let me tell you where not to buy ingredients, not Whole Foods and not Publix.
Yeah.
Is there like a carniceria that you would recommend? So you're just find like a good.
I mean, they're all
grocery
probably going to be good if you find like the real ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have some by my house. There's Buford Highway's got all of them. Make sure it's a Mexican grocery store, because the brands that find their way to the big supermarkets are not the really right brands.
I did render my own lard.
Well, that's good.
So.
That is a good move. I mean, because lard that you buy at the grocery store is horrible. Or get the lard from the Mexican grocery stores.
Okay. Well, see, that's what I'm going to do next time.
Yeah.
All right. So if you had a recommendation for my next attempt, what do you think I should go for?
In the book?
Yeah.
I would make the albondigas.
Okay.
Just make sure you don't cook it too fast, because I've seen some people cook it too fast and the sauce cooks down too much. I'm like, whoa. They send me a picture of it, and I'm like, wait, no, it's not supposed to look like that. You know what I mean? So, So make that one. Who knows? Maybe the recipe's bad, but it's good because it's like it's a Mexican meatball. I don't know if this is how they do it in Mexico. I just decided, as opposed to having, they may do rice in it, but what I did instead was I did kind of a Tex-Mex approach, and I did fried tortilla chips, corn tortilla chips, ground up. And I use that in the meatball for the bread component.
Interesting. Okay.
And what I would do is I would use those meatballs in the sauce and then get a tortilla and make a little taco out of it.
Okay. That actually.
Yeah, sounds good.
I was thinking enchiladas with the chili.
Yeah, that's
gravy.
Great. You can't ever go wrong there.
But no, that's it. That's an interesting rack. I wouldn't have picked that one out. So.
Well, do that one.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Maybe double the sauce. Okay. And then make cheese enchiladas and use that gravy as the gravy. Use that sauce as the gravy over the cheese enchiladas.
I like that.
Yeah.
God, it's so good to be having you as a food critic. So let's jump over to hobbies and interests. I guess the first thing I'll just ask you, there are only a few things. I mean, if you look at me, there are only a few things that I won't eat. Is there anything that you're just like, man, I won't eat that? Like, is there any food aversion you have?
I absolutely hate raw bell peppers.
Really? Okay.
I hate raw. I love bell peppers cooked in my roommate was from Kaplan, Louisiana. So we, the Trinity in culinary school. Yeah. Okay. And he taught me and his mom how to make gumbo. And basically in Cajun cooking, it's like onion, celery, bell pepper.
That's the Trinity, yeah.
The Trinity, and that it works there for me, but for the most part, bell peppers, if I go to Chinese restaurants and they do these big chunks of bell pepper, I'm like, no, I gotta keep that out, yeah.
Where did you say your roommate was from in Louisiana?
Kaplan. Right outside Lafayette.
Okay. Never heard of Kaplan.
Abbeville, real near Abbeville.
Okay. No. Believe me, I know where Lafayette is. Raging Cajuns.
Yeah.
All All right, so pets, you're a lab man. You have the Labrador Bella and Cash, and you have puppies. Now, how's that going?
Hard. It was an unplanned pregnancy. Bella is old. Bella's like 9.5, so that I'm sure we're seeing, signs of like we don't know if her milk is coming in, so we're having to bottle feed the puppies, and so it's hard.
Are you looking for homes for the puppies for Christmas?
I got homes already.
Okay,
I had like 11 people, and then I just had to stop the list. But we really only have 3 puppies to give away.
Okay.
So.
And that's around Christmas time.
Yeah.
So speaking of Christmas, everybody, Thanksgiving is a very, I'd say it's not basic, but everybody kind of does the same thing for Thanksgiving. Christmas at the Fry House. What is the traditional Ford Fry family Christmas meal? What do you guys do?
I grew up a combination of beef and turkey on Christmas.
Okay.
So we're definitely smoking a turkey and then usually smoking some sort of beef. I mean, my uncle would always make beef tenderloin.
Yep.
I'm not a big beef tenderloin fan,
Okay.
so I'm a big ribeye fan.
Yes.
Short rib would be great. Anything on a smoker would be good. Or, just depending on where we are too. Depending on what I have access to cooking,
What are we
tools.
What are we having for sides? What kind of sides are we talking here?
Christmas, pretty basic. Having the stuffing, the same Thanksgiving sides, I would say. Maybe a little more salad, some lighter stuff. We got a lot of gluten-free people in our families, and
Okay. So you mentioned your fanboy moment, even though you weren't there, which stinks. Robert Plant being at Superica, saw or read that you play guitar.
yeah.
So a couple questions around that. I also play guitar. So acoustic or electric or both? What's your
Both.
Both. Okay. If you could wave a magic wand and have any guitar delivered to your door today, what would it be?
59 Les Paul.
Nice. What color?
Well, sunburst.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a Les Paul right now? Okay.
Yeah.
What acoustic do you play?
I've got 2. Well, I've got 3, but the 2 old vintage ones are, one is a Martin D28 and one is a 1934. It's called a Gibson Jumbo, and it was the predecessor to the Gibson J45, and it's killer.
I haven't been there yet. So me and a couple guys, I wouldn't even say we have a band. We just, one guy plays piano, one guy plays guitar.
Yeah.
I sing. We played in a cover band. I played in a cover band in college, but
Yeah.
we're still trying to come up with a decent band name. Have you been to Big House Guitars yet? I haven't been
Not
there.
yet.
Okay.
I know the manager, he came from another guitar store and he moved over there, but I want to go there. I try to stay away from these games because I come away with spending
Guitars.
too much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's like I really want to get a.
Yeah.
So when I left college, I sold all my stuff, which was a bad move, and I had a 1959 gold top Les Paul, and
It's a bad call.
Well, I'll go to Big House Guitars soon, and I'll right the ship. So you like to go in your backyard while you're grilling, or you play. So when you're playing guitar, what songs do you like? What's your favorite song to play?
Okay, I'm going. There's different phases.
Sure.
I would say.
When you're warming up.
Oh gosh, when I'm more, it just depends on the phase. You know what I mean? Because lately I've been in this '80s phase.
Okay.
So I'm playing a lot of like Billy Idol. I'm trying to play like some Toto, which is hard,
Wow, all right, yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, if I'm just tooling around, it's gonna sound like Hendrixy meets Billy Gibbons,
Okay.
kind of. I also collect amps too, so I've got a lot of vintage, or a few vintage,
Awesome.
the key vintage amps. So I generally have to wait till everyone's out of the house before I really turn
crank
those
it up?
up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think I have some hearing loss, but
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a mic? I mean, do you sing too, or you just play?
no.
Just play.
Oh yeah.
All right. So are you heavy lead, or are you more rhythm?
I'm better at rhythm. I can learn lead. I need to work on that. I need to work on more. What do you call it? More soloing, I'd say. But I mean, I can learn all that stuff and play all that stuff. Maybe not a shredder.
Okay.
I don't. But anything ZZ Top, yeah, no problem.
Nice. Okay. Well, Texas guys. You seem to have a lot of salt. I mean, fish, seafood, saltwater themes in your restaurant. Do you enjoy fishing or not?
I mean, I grew up fishing, like bass fishing on ponds and things like that. I I'm not as big a fisherman as some of my guys. Some of our chefs are huge fishermen.
Yep.
I'm just more of an eater. I like to
Okay,
eat
so you
stuff.
just like seafood.
Yeah.
I was wondering what the draw was for like the golf.
I
and
think that
seafood.
was a lot of that was just timing and what I felt like the Atlanta needs. I mean, I love cooking fish. I love oysters.
Yeah.
I grew up on the Gulf, so
Yeah.
maybe that's what that was all about.
Love it. You're a Texas man, transplant.
Yeah.
Favorite barbecue in Atlanta? Hit it. Which?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna offend somebody.
Of course.
I would say the one I go to the most would be Fox Brothers.
Awesome.
I get fatty brisket for sure.
You
You
have
got to
to.
order fatty brisket.
I always suspect people to go lean on brisket. I just can't trust those.
No, can't do that. I mean, I've had some really good barbecue early on at Doss Barbecue.
Yeah, that place is great. Yeah.
And Community Q.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about Community Q's a little bit different barbecue than I grew up having, but I really like it.
So in Houston, I'm just curious. Like, do you have a favorite? Like, I've been to Truth Barbecue. Like, what's your favorite spot in Houston for barbecue?
Truth or Killins, both of those two are super strong. A lot of times they end up at good company just because that's what I grew up eating.
Right.
But no one would say that's the best in Houston. It's just a super cool environment, and I like actually like the sides and the sausage there. They smoke with mesquite, and a lot of barbecue people are highly anti-mesquite, but whatever reason he does it. But Truth and Killins, like I definitely got the backdoor treatment at Killins my first time, and it was solid. Truth is always solid.
Yeah. So backyard, big green egg. I'm just curious, and this isn't. I know you're not promoting or endorsing anyone, but like when you're at Costco or whatever the grocery store and you're buying lump charcoal, or do you order lump charcoal? What brand of lump charcoal do you use?
Oh, I've been changing around.
Okay.
I generally go to Ace Hardware because they have like different brands. There's a B&B. I've used the big green egg charcoal a lot. I try to feel the bag, and if they feel like real hard, and it doesn't feel like sometimes when you get to the end of the bag and you're dumping it out and it's just all
Powder.
this dust and powder, I'm like, okay, I avoid those bags.
Right.
I don't go back to those. But there's another barbecue place up somewhat near my house out in the suburbs that has all kinds of good charcoal, I'd say. But I don't know that I have a specific brand.
Okay.
Because I usually do charcoal and then start adding wood as well too.
So what kind of wood are you adding when you're cooking?
What I've got is basically the wood that we use at our restaurants. So it's mainly hickory, probably some oak peppered in.
Okay.
Oak has got that oak definitely has that. Post oak, I think, is the one that kind of feels a little bit more Houston for me.
Yeah.
And I think California also has white oak or something like that. I don't know.
So is your specialty the ribeye? What's your protein? What do you do? What's your best big green egg?
Oh
dish?
gosh, honestly, cooking chicken on the big green egg is just fantastic. I mean,
Is it basic? What's your?
Oh, you brine it. I'll cut. I'll either do whole birds or spatchcock them or cut them in half or something like that, or even actually separate the leg from the breast. But brine it definitely overnight in a salt, a little bit of sugar solution, basically. No real flavorings or anything like that. Dry that off, heavy pepper, and then kind of it's pretty hot, fast smoke. So I want that skin to really crisp up, and it's just so good.
So what temperature for how long is your chicken?
I don't even know, but I would say it is hot as a mother. That's for sure.
Okay.
Because I keep blowing out the interior, so I would say it's probably in the 5 something.
Okay, 500 inch.
Yeah, and then I'll suffocate, and then I'll turn it down a little bit, but I'll start it that high. I'd say it cooks about 40, 35, maybe 30 minutes at that hot.
Okay.
So, but it's great.
I meant to ask you this, and I'm just curious. Are either of your boys married? Like, are we grandparents yet? Or are we thinking
No
about it?
grandparents. One is mid-married at 1 year.
Awesome. Well, I have a gift for you.
Nice.
Okay, you want to see it?
Yeah.
And, so.
Is it LSU jersey?
No,
or
it's
something?
not. Yeah, well, it's not a Jaden Daniels jersey. I could give you that. And it's not a seventh situation here. What's in the box? So this is for you and Stacy.
Nice.
Got a couple of koozies for the backyard.
Thank you.
And you're into trucker hats.
Oh, yes.
So we have 3 different hats. And so I'm going to show you each color scheme, and you tell me which one you like. So I don't know, you're wearing a green hat right now, so you might like this one. So this we call the campfire. This is green and black.
Nice.
So anyone that's a guest on Southern Character, you get a hat. So Retire Southern on the front, Southern Character, if you can see that
Yeah,
in
nice.
the back.
Nice.
So that's the campfire. This one I call the classic. This is navy and khaki.
Yeah.
So there's that. And the last one, you're a coastal guy, right? Or if you like the beach. I call this one the coastal. It's kind of like the light blue and white.
Yeah.
So what character are you?
Green.
Green.
I don't know
Campfire.
why. Yeah, that's great.
Got it, man. Well, thank you so
That's
much.
awesome. Thanks for having me.
Man, I appreciate it. I think is it 2:59? I landed it right where I was supposed to land it. So I'll just say this. If you enjoyed this episode of Southern Character, please share it with others and be sure to visit our website, retiresouthern.com, for additional travel, lifestyle, and wellness insights, and to shop for your Retire Southern swag. You can send us any questions or feedback through our contact page or email me, james@retiresouthern.com. Ford, thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Awesome, guys. And thanks for listening, everyone. We appreciate it.